So, Holly from Minerva Arts, absolutely fantastic to see Minerva apply for the commission this year, and wonderful to hear the work that you've done. For anyone that doesn't know Minerva, just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, Minerva Arts is a charity, and we specialise working with children and young people. So our main work is we've got a programme of youth theatres across Cheshire, but we also do commissioned work with other charities, schools, doing lots of creative projects with young people around different issues and themes.
Wow, wonderful. And you've certainly got a wonderful reputation for the work that you do. And is it just Chester, or are you branching out a little bit further from there?
No, yeah, so we've recently branched out more into Cheshire West and also in Cheshire East. So we're kind of all over Cheshire now, which is great. And we're starting to do a lot more work in rural areas as well, because we've kind of found that there's more need for access to creative activities in rural areas. So we've really started to focus there as well.
Oh, great. Would you say it's probably an obvious thing to anyone that lives in a city that there's so much cultural activity going on, but is it fair to say maybe the rural areas get forgotten a little bit?
Yeah, I think that they do. And also it can be difficult for people to travel into like cities to access, to not only see work, but to, be part of groups. That can be a barrier sometimes, travelling outside of your community. So we really try to be in the heart of small rural communities, which is great because I run my drama group in Malpas, which is really kind of rural, but I feel like I've been accepted into the community somehow, because everybody knows everybody, and I feel like I'm starting to get to know a lot of people there through it, and we're part of like community events as well, so you just start to feel like you live there almost. It's really nice feeling.
Oh, I suppose certainly with the rural communities, there's already that sense of community there.
Yeah.
From the outside coming in, you benefit from everyone knowing, and maybe even having worked together before.
Yeah.
That sounds really wonderful. So this piece that you've produced for this year's Chester Bandstand programme, obviously a different take this year. We've had you perform there previously as well. Just tell us a little bit about the inspiration for the piece. I know all of the judges were really blown away by the application you put in. So let's find out a bit more about it.
Well, we wanted to obviously get the young people's response to what's been happening with lockdown and the current situation, but we didn't want to do it really like direct, because it might be a difficult subject for children and young people to kind of process and understand and respond to. So that's why we decided to give them a quote that you could definitely link to the current situation, but without directly saying so, if that makes any sense. But we gave them the quote, "When it's dark, look for stars," and that was kind of our springboard into creating the piece. So what they did, the first thing that we did was we asked them to just think of loads of words and phrases that come to mind when they think of that quote. So they did that first. And then from there, we did loads of games and exercises to create content for the poem that they did. So we did like rhyming games. We did drama games, like we did alien interpretation. So we got one of them to act as an alien, like visiting to Earth. And then the audience, the other members, had to kind of explain to the alien, what Earth was like at the moment. So they really had to say it like, because the alien didn't know anything about Earth. So that was really interesting. And they had to really kind of break it down into really simple terms. And then we did like creative writing exercises, just loads of just different games and activities to get different responses from them. And then we kind of pulled it all together into one piece.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I think the process, for anyone that hasn't worked in youth theatre or theatre generally, is really, really fascinating. So how do you get these young minds focused on the task at hand? But of course, with something so emotionally sensitive and with the news bombarding us in the last few months, I guess you kind of had to do that with a really, really polished approach, a really sensitive one.
Yeah, and we'd always like check in with them at the beginning of every session and see how they're feeling and how they're doing. And when we were in kind of like the thick of the lockdown, a lot of them were starting to get bored, and they were saying like the weeks were getting really repetitive and it's just the same. And we tried to reflect that in the poem as well, like that response. And then we had some really good feedback as well from parents. Because we moved all of our drama groups online, and some of the feedback from parents was like, you know, really just having that one thing to look forward to once a week, and they knew that they could rely on it and that it was coming up and they could see their friends. They really commented on how it helped with their well-being during that time, so that was really nice to hear as well.
So this is basically a creative outlet for maybe some of that anxiety that's simmering under the surface.
Yeah, and it helped them, you know, to talk about how they were feeling and also understand that it's not just them. A lot of them were, you know, agreeing with each other. So, you know, they knew that they weren't alone in how they were feeling, because it was hard for some of them, I think. But then it also gave them the opportunity to reflect on those positives that have come out of that situation. So when we looked at the quote, "When it's dark, look for stars," we were like, well, what does that mean to you? And their responses were, well, when it's, you know, a bad time or a sad time, then it's looking at those things that bring light into your life. So that's where they were like, well, you know what, I get to hang out with my family more than I've ever done before. I still get to see my friends on FaceTime. And so that was really positive about the process, was that even though they were expressing like they were struggling, the creative process of creating this poem helped them to realise, well, actually there are some positives in this situation. So that was really nice to hear from them, actually.
Absolutely. So very much making the best of a bad deal. And I've asked some of the other artists and the performers, you know, we're in unknown territory and have been for the last few months. We've talked about the emotional challenges there and the approach, but what were the technical challenges of making this work?
There's so many technical challenges. Obviously, we'd never done drama workshops online before, so that was, so the first few weeks we just had to learn, you know, what was the best way to run the sessions. Internet was a big issue sometimes, you know, we couldn't hear people, lots of glitching going on, and that you can kind of hear some of that glitching when we recorded the poem. So you can really hear that in the final piece as well, which reflects, you know, the realness of it all. And sometimes internet went, so we lost people and then they rejoined, and so we had to really kind of get used to it. But once, you know, a few weeks into it, we were kind of all clued in, and it was just a case of accepting that, you know, sometimes it's going to take a few minutes to get a response from a question because we can't hear them, or they're glitching, or their video is malfunctioning. So it was just accepting that it's not ideal, but we still get to do some work. So it's just, everything just took a lot longer to do. It was a lot slower than when we would be if the whole group was in the building together.
Yeah, I'd probably say that to everyone that's tuned in or watching this video when it's replayed on the Bandstand channel, is that it's quite a short but really full piece, because you get different fragments of people speaking, and it's done in a really specific way. But the amount of time that it takes to edit, to prepare, to rehearse, and I was really impressed when I heard this, when you sent it over, because I know how much time and effort that represents, even though it's 2 to 3 minutes long. So you must have had a whale of a time doing that.
I think that's a really good point to make as well. Like you said, it's a 2-minute piece, which might not sound a lot, but actually, we took about 10 weeks to put it all together. So it is a long, it is a long process. But it also highlights like how imaginative and creative young people are. Like some of the stuff they were coming out with, we were like, oh my gosh, that's really insightful. That that really made me think. So that was, those moments were really great. Definitely, we always love performing at the Chester Bandstand. And what was great about this project was usually, because obviously it's in Chester, so our Chester groups would be the ones that would perform at the bandstand. But with this commission, it was Malpas and Sandbach Youth Theatre, whereas like they would never get the opportunity really because of distance to be part of the bandstand. So I think that was what was unique about this, was that because we could do it virtually, more opportunities kind of opened up for those groups as well. So that was really good.
Oh, great to put them in the spotlight. Well, thanks again so much, Hollie. It's been great to talk to you and hear a little bit about what Minerva have been up to. And if you'd just do us the honour of introducing this piece, and we'll put it straight on.
Okay, this is a spoken word poem from Malpas and Sandbach Youth Theatre. Young people ages 7 to 11 put this together, and it's called When It's Dark, Look for Stars.
A road to a new journey begins. The first day they asked us to stay at home. No more schools, no more friends, just new rules, just dead ends. Blank, empty, grey, dark.
336 hours. The world looks abandoned. I can see people getting stressed. Clear up this mess!
In their level 2, thieving of fear. How bumpy is the road? 504 hours. Eat, drink, work, repeat. Eat, drink, work, repeat. Bored. Why can't we go back? I really want some McDonald's. 672 hours. It's so dark in my room. Why can't I see anything? There's nothing except gloom. Someone's stolen my stuff.
Turn on the light. The world becomes bright. Now I can see everything.
840 hours. Is that a bend in the road? Then there's a small, shining light. Is it a shooting star? It looks very bizarre. Or perhaps it's outer space, then I am an astronaut in that case. Is our galaxy looking us in the eye? I forget all my troubles looking at the night sky.
1008 hours. Sounds like a clock ticking. Sounds like rain hitting a wet surface. Sounds like a songbird.
Sounds like a howling wind. Sounds like a buzzing TV. Sounds like the crunching of leaves. Sounds like a clock ticking.
1176 hours. Let's play Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite. Let's bake cakes, biscuits, banana bread. Let's make rainbows.
2016 hours. Life has been turned upside down, but I've learned that it's good to talk, that there will always be someone there, and I appreciate my family more than I thought I could. When it's dark, look for stars.